Kira's hand shook as she gripped the controls of her small cargo ship. The warning lights flashed red across her dashboard, painting her blue skin in angry colors. 3 ships were closing in fast from behind, their weapons already charging. She had made a mistake. Everyone told her not to take the route through the outer drift alone. But the payment for this delivery was too good to pass up. Her family needed the money. Now she would pay for her greed with her life. The first blast hit her rear shields. The ship lurched forward, throwing her against the restraints. Alarm screamed in her ears. She pushed the engines harder. But her little cargo vessel was never built for speed. The pirate ships were gaining. "Please, someone help me," she whispered into the communication system, sending out a distress signal on all frequencies. "This is Trader Vessel Distant Star. I'm under attack in Sector 7 of the Outer Drift. Please, anyone." Only silence answered her. She knew no one would come. The Outer Drift was lawless space. The Galactic Council ships never patrolled here. They said it was too dangerous, too far from their protected zones. Other traders knew better than to risk themselves for a stranger. The second blast tore through her shields completely. The ship's hull screamed as metal bent and twisted. Kira felt the heat of the explosion through the walls. Red warnings covered every screen now. Life support was failing. The engines were dying. The pirates were Kreth, a brutal species known for taking everything and leaving nothing. Their ship surrounded her now, blocking any escape. She watched helplessly as they attached boarding tubes to her hull. Heavy footsteps echoed through the ship as they forced the airlocks open. Kira grabbed the small plasma pistol from under her seat. Her hands trembled so badly she almost dropped it. She had never shot anyone before. She was a trader, not a fighter. But she would not die without trying. The door to her cockpit exploded inward. 3 Kreth warriors pushed through, their massive bodies covered in thick armor. Their faces were hidden behind helmets, but she could hear their rough laughter. "Little Valen all alone," one of them said in broken galactic common. "Bad choice coming here." Kira raised her pistol and fired. The blast hit the first Kreth in the shoulder, burning through the armor. He roared in pain and anger. Before she could fire again, one of the others lunged forward and struck her hand. The pistol flew across the room. A heavy fist caught her across the face. Pain exploded through her skull. She tasted blood. Another blow hit her ribs. She heard something crack. The world spun as they threw her to the floor. They took everything. Her cargo, her credits, even her emergency supplies. She lay on the cold floor, bleeding and broken, listening to them tear her ship apart. Every breath sent fire through her chest. Her vision was getting dark around the edges. Finally, the footsteps moved away. She heard the boarding tubes disconnect. Through the cracked window, she watched the pirate ships turn and vanish into the darkness of space. Kira tried to move, but couldn't. Her body wouldn't respond. The life support system was barely functioning now. The air was getting thin. Cold was seeping into the ship as the heating failed. Red emergency lights flickered and died, leaving her in darkness. She reached for the communication panel with fingers that barely worked. Blood made the controls slippery. She managed to activate the distress beacon, setting it to broadcast on every possible frequency, even the ones that reached beyond known space. "Please," she whispered into the void. "Anyone, I don't want to die alone out here." The darkness grew deeper. Her eyes closed. The cold wrapped around her like a blanket. In the silence of her dying ship, Kira waited for the end. She never expected anyone to answer. The bridge of the Pathfinder was quiet except for the steady hum of the engines. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, reviewing the day's navigation reports. His crew had been mapping this region of space for 3 months now, cataloging new star systems for Earth's growing database. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Lisa Grant called from the pilot station. Her fingers danced across the controls. "It's a distress signal. Very weak, but it's there." Jake straightened in his chair. "Location? Outer Drift, about 6 hours away at full speed." Lisa frowned at her screen. "The signal is bouncing all over the spectrum. Whoever sent it is desperate." From the science station, Lieutenant Ben Parker spoke up. "Captain, the Outer Drift is dangerous territory. Our Zenthari liaison warned us never to go there. Pirates control that region." Jake stood and walked to Lisa's station, looking at the signal data. It was weak and broken, but he could make out a few words in galactic common. "Help. Attacked. Dying." The timestamp showed the signal was already 2 hours old. "How far are the nearest Council patrol ships?" Jake asked. Ben checked his console. "The closest ones are 8 hours away, sir. But according to the database, Council ships don't respond to distress calls from the outer drift. They consider it outside their jurisdiction." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. Someone was dying out there, and the people who could help simply chose not to. He had seen this attitude before from the alien species they had met. They were advanced, peaceful, and completely unwilling to take any risks. "Captain, we should inform Earth Command and continue our mission," Ben said carefully. "Our orders are to explore and map, not to—" "Not to what?" Jake interrupted. "Not to help someone who's dying? Not to do the right thing?" He turned to face his science officer. "Is that what we're supposed to do? Just leave them?" Ben looked uncomfortable. "Sir, I'm just saying what the regulations suggest." "Regulations?" Jake shook his head. "Lisa, set a course for that signal. Maximum speed." Lisa's face broke into a smile. "Yes, sir, course laid in." "Captain, I must advise against this." Ben started again. Jake held up his hand. "Noted, Lieutenant. But I'm not leaving someone to die because it's inconvenient or dangerous. That's not who we are. That's not what humans do." He pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands, this is the captain. We're responding to a distress call. It might be dangerous. Get ready." He turned to his tactical officer, Kevin Ross, who was grinning at his station. "Kevin, charge the weapons and raise shields. We don't know what we're flying into." "Already on it, sir," Kevin replied. "Lisa, I want you to push the engines as hard as they'll go. Whoever's out there might not have 6 hours." "We'll be there in 4, Lisa said, her hands already working the controls. The Pathfinder's engines roared to life, pushing the ship faster through space. Jake returned to his command chair and opened a direct link to the medical bay. "Ryan, this is the captain. We're heading to a rescue. Unknown species, unknown injuries. Get ready for anything." Dr. Ryan Cole's voice came back immediately. "Understood, Captain. Medical bay is standing by." As the Pathfinder raced through space toward the dying signal, Jake felt the weight of his decision. He knew Earth Command might question his choice. The other alien species would definitely criticize it. But he could live with their disapproval. What he couldn't live with was knowing he had left someone to die when he could have helped. "Signal is getting stronger," Lisa reported. "We're closing in." Jake leaned forward in his chair. "Then let's go save a life." The Pathfinder dropped out of fast travel, and the damaged ship appeared on their screens. It was small, about the size of a shuttle, and it was dying. Holes punctured the hull. No lights showed through the windows. "It drifted in space like a corpse. Life signs?" Jake asked, gripping his armrests. Ben worked his controls frantically. "Very faint. One person barely alive. Oxygen levels are almost 0. Temperature is near freezing. How long do they have?" "Minutes, maybe less." Jake didn't hesitate. "Kevin, Lisa, you're with me. Ryan, get to the airlock with a medical kit. Ben, you have the bridge." He was already moving toward the door. The 4 of them gathered at the airlock, pulling on emergency suits. Through the window, they could see the broken ship drifting closer. Matt Hudson, their engineer, joined them carrying cutting tools. "That hull is breached in multiple places," Matt said. "I'll need to seal them before we can pressurize." "Do it fast," Jake ordered. "Lisa, bring the ships together. Gentle as you can." Lisa piloted the Pathfinder with expert precision, matching the damaged ship's slow rotation. The docking tube extended and connected with a soft thump. Matt immediately went to work spraying quick seal foam over the visible cracks. "Good enough," he said after 30 seconds. "It'll hold for a few minutes." Jake cycled the airlock. The door opened with a hiss of escaping air. Emergency lights flickered inside the alien ship, revealing the destruction. Equipment was smashed. Walls were scorched black. Blood, dark blue in color, was splattered across the floor. They found her in the cockpit. She was small, maybe 5 feet tall, with blue skin and white hair. Her body was broken and burned. She lay in a pool of her own blood, her chest barely rising and falling. Her large eyes were closed. Ryan dropped to his knees beside her, immediately scanning her with his medical device. Severe trauma, multiple broken bones, plasma burns, blood loss, Her species has a similar biology to ours, but different enough that I'll need to improvise. Will she live? Jake asked. Not if we don't move her right now. Kevin and Matt carefully lifted her onto a stretcher while Ryan worked to stabilize her vitals. She moaned softly, a sound of pain that needed no translation. Her eyes fluttered open for just a moment, unfocused and confused. She looked at the humans surrounding her with what might have been fear. It's okay, Ryan said softly, though he knew she couldn't understand. We've got you. You're safe now. They carried her through the docking tube back to the Pathfinder. Ryan rushed her to the medical bay while the others sealed the airlock. Jake stayed behind for a moment, looking at the destroyed cockpit. He saw the small pistol on the floor, the scattered cargo containers in the hold, the violence written in every damaged surface. She fought them, he said quietly. Matt nodded. She fought and they left her to die. What kind of people do that? Pirates don't care about mercy, Kevin said. But they picked the wrong victim this time. Jake looked at the blood on the floor, the signs of struggle. Whoever this person was, she had been alone and afraid. And every other species in this region had heard her call for help and ignored it. He felt his jaw tighten. Let's get back to the ship. I want to know who did this. In the medical bay, Ryan worked frantically to save the alien woman's life. Her biology was close enough to human that his equipment worked, but different enough to make everything complicated. He gave her oxygen, treated her burns, and carefully set her broken bones. Amy Chen, his nurse, helped prepare blood substitutes that her body might accept. They worked in focused silence, fighting against time and biology. Finally, after an hour of desperate work, Ryan stepped back. The woman's breathing was stronger now. Her vital signs were stabilizing. Is she going to make it? Amy asked. Ryan looked at the monitors, then at the small blue-skinned woman lying on the bed. I think so. She's a fighter. Jake entered the medical bay, his face serious. How is she? Alive, Ryan said, barely. Another 30 minutes and we would have been too late. Jake walked to the bedside and looked down at their patient. She was so small, so fragile looking. But she had survived an attack that should have killed her. Survived hours alone in a dying ship and somehow held on long enough for help to arrive. Rest now, he said quietly. You're safe. We won't let anything happen to you. Though she was unconscious and couldn't hear him, Jake meant every word. Kira woke slowly, her mind floating up from darkness like a bubble rising through water. Her body felt strange, heavy, but not in pain. That confused her. She remembered pain, terrible burning pain. She remembered cold and darkness and the certainty of death. She opened her eyes. The ceiling above her was unfamiliar, made of smooth white panels with soft lights. This wasn't her ship. Where was she? Panic flooded through her and she tried to sit up. Immediately, gentle hands pressed her shoulders back down. Easy, easy, a soft voice said. You're safe. Don't try to move yet. Kira turned her head and saw a creature she didn't recognize. It had pale pink skin and short dark hair. Its face was smooth and expressive, with kind eyes that reminded her of her own species. But this was definitely not a Valen. The creature spoke again, slower this time. My name is Amy. You're on a human ship. We rescued you. Do you understand? Kira's translator chip slowly processed the words. Human. She had heard of them, the new species that had just joined the galactic community. Strange beings from a world called Earth. Unpredictable, dangerous, some said. Why? Kira managed to whisper. Her throat was dry and her voice cracked. Amy held a cup of water to her lips. Why what? Why save me? Kira drank gratefully, then continued. No one comes to the outer drift. It's too dangerous. Why would you risk yourselves? Amy looked puzzled by the question. Because you needed help. What other reason do we need? Over the next few days, Kira slowly regained her strength. The human doctor, Ryan, checked on her constantly. He was kind and patient, explaining everything he did. He had saved her life using medicines and techniques he had to invent on the spot, because human and Velan biology were different. You should have been dead, he told her one morning. Your injuries were severe, but you're tough. I didn't want to die alone, Kira said quietly. Ryan nodded. You didn't and you won't. Not on our watch. Amy stayed with her most often, teaching her about humans while she recovered. Kira learned that Earth was a world of incredible variety, with thousands of different cultures and languages. Humans were very young compared to other galactic species, having only developed space travel 50 years ago. We're still learning how everything works out here, Amy admitted, but we know right from wrong. We know you don't leave people to die. The Galactic Council doesn't see it that way, Kira said. They believe in non-interference. They say getting involved in dangerous situations only creates more problems. Amy frowned. So they just let bad things happen? That seems cowardly. They call it wisdom, Kira replied. They say it's how they've maintained peace for thousands of years. Peace for who? Amy asked. Not for you. Not for all the other people attacked in the outer drift. The words struck Kira deeply. She had never questioned the Council's way before. It was simply how things were. The powerful species maintained their peace and order in their protected zones. Everyone else had to fend for themselves. One evening, Captain Jake Morrison visited her in the medical bay. He sat in the chair beside her bed, his expression serious. We recovered the data from your ship's computer, he said. We know it was Kreth pirates who attacked you. We also found records of at least 20 other ships they've attacked in the last year alone. Kira looked away, shame burning in her chest. Everyone knows about the Kreth in the outer drift. They've been there for years. The Council won't send ships to stop them. Why not? Because it's too dangerous. Because the outer drift isn't officially part of Council space, because... She trailed off, unable to finish. Because they don't care enough to try. Jake finished for her. Kira nodded miserably. I should have known better. I should have taken the safe route even if it cost more. This is my fault. No, Jake said firmly. This is the pirates' fault. And it's the fault of everyone who could have stopped them but chose not to. You were just trying to make a living. He stood up and walked to the window looking out at the stars. Those pirates have been preying on people for years. How many have they killed? How many ships have they destroyed? Many, Kira whispered. Jake turned back to face her. Then maybe it's time someone did something about it. Kira's eyes widened. You can't be serious. You're just one ship. The Kreth have a base, multiple vessels, weapons. You'd be destroyed. A small smile crossed Jake's face. You'd be surprised what humans can do when someone needs help. Lisa sat at her station, her eyes focused on the navigation screen. She had been tracking the ion trail left by the pirate ships for 2 days now. The trail was faint, but it was there, leading deeper into the outer drift. Got them, she said finally. The trail leads to an asteroid field in the Broken Ring sector. If they have a base, that's where it'll be. Jake studied the map she displayed on the main screen. The asteroid field was dense, full of hiding places. Perfect for pirates who didn't want to be found. How many ships do you think they have? He asked. Ben checked his database. Based on Kira's records and the attack patterns, probably 5 or 6 combat vessels. Plus whatever defenses they have at their base. And we have 1 ship, Kevin said with a grin. I like those odds. You would, Matt muttered from the engineering station. I've been reinforcing our shields and weapons, but we're an exploration vessel, not a warship. The door to the bridge opened and Kira walked in, moving slowly but steadily. Ryan had cleared her for light duty, though he wasn't happy about it. She wore a human jumpsuit that was too big for her small frame. You shouldn't be up yet, Jake said, concerned. I can help, Kira insisted. I know how the Kreth fight. I know their tactics and their technology. She walked to Ben's station and looked at the data. They use ambush tactics, surrounding their prey before attacking. They prefer to disable ships rather than destroy them so they can steal the cargo. They're brutal but not particularly smart. What about their base defenses? Jake asked. Kira thought for a moment. Probably automated weapons on the asteroids. Maybe mines. They'll have sensors watching the approaches. But the Kreth are overconfident. They've never been challenged in the outer drift. They won't expect anyone to attack them. Jake nodded slowly, a plan forming in his mind. Lisa, can you navigate through that asteroid field? In my sleep, Lisa replied confidently. Kevin, how quickly can we target multiple ships at once? Our targeting systems can handle 6 simultaneous targets, Kevin said. But actually hitting them all is another matter. What if we had someone who knew their flight patterns? Jake looked at Kira. She understood immediately. I can predict their movements. The Kreth aren't creative pilots. They follow standard attack formations. Matt spoke up from his station. Captain, even with all this, we're still outgunned. If they all attack at once, we'll be in trouble. Then we make sure they can't all attack at once, Jake said. He pulled up a tactical display. The asteroid field gives us cover. We use it to our advantage. Hit them 1 or 2 at a time, keep moving. A guerrilla approach, Kevin said, nodding appreciatively. I like it. Ben looked uncomfortable. Captain, I need to formally object to this plan. Earth Command sent us to explore, not to engage in combat with pirates. This could create a diplomatic incident with the Galactic Council. Jake turned to face his science officer. Noted, Ben. But I'm not asking for permission. Those pirates hurt Kira and killed who knows how many others. The Council won't stop them. Someone has to. He looked around the bridge at his crew. I won't order anyone to follow me on this. If you want to stay behind, I understand. But I'm going after them. Nobody moved. Lisa checked her controls. Kevin armed the weapons. Matt reinforced the power distribution. Even Ben, despite his objections, remained at his station. Guess you're stuck with us, Captain, Lisa said with a smile. Kira felt something warm spread through her chest. These humans barely knew her. They had no reason to risk their lives fighting her attackers. Yet here they were, preparing for battle to help her and others like her. It was incomprehensible and beautiful at the same time. Thank you, she said quietly. Jake placed a hand on her shoulder. Thank us after we win. Right now I need you to show us everything you know about the Kreth. For the next hours, they planned. Kira shared every detail she knew about Kreth ships, weapons, and tactics. The crew adapted their strategy based on her information. Matt prepared special modifications to their weapons. Lisa plotted multiple escape routes through the asteroid field. Kevin programmed rapid-fire targeting solutions. As the Pathfinder approached the Broken Ring sector, Jake stood and addressed his crew one last time. We're not warriors, he said. We're explorers, scientists, healers, but sometimes good people have to stand up to bad people. Sometimes you have to fight for what's right, even when it's dangerous. Today we fight for everyone the Kreth have hurt. We fight so that no one else has to die alone in the dark. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the asteroid field. On the sensors they could see the pirate base ahead, nestled among the broken rocks. And surrounding it like sharks circling prey were 6 Kreth warships. Here we go, Lisa whispered, her hands steady on the controls. The hunt was about to become a fight.